Hey YouTube, what's up? What's going on? Welcome back to the Practical Life. This is Ashley Nicole, and welcome back to another evening live. Y'all, let me tell y'all, I said, you know what? I'm gonna have to go. I gotta go live tonight because first of all, I miss y'all. I miss talking to y'all. I miss, the chat and just going live, right? But y'all, I've been so busy. Like these past few days, I've been really, really busy with the kids and stuff like that. And y'all, I am super duper tired because I have been in the sun all day. But I had a lot of fun. And yeah, so I wanted to do this live because I know the other day when we found out that Takeoff lost his life. Since then, more details and things like that have come out. There have been so many, people kind of giving their opinion about what happened, how it happened, why it happened, things like that, right? Of course, nobody knows the story, but the people who were there, but it really kind of, I think it shocked many, right? And I think it shocked many because, on one hand, this is another Black young man that has been unalived by gun violence, right? Um, and then on the other hand, it's like takeoff. It's kind of like unexpected. You know what I'm saying? It's like a person that I've been hearing that people describe as like a quiet, he's kind of quiet and things like that, right? So, but of course, I don't know him personally. But this video is just all about my opinion. And that's what my commentary is always based on, right? But it got me to thinking about all these these Black men that have lost their lives to gun violence, right? And I started to think, okay, is it that they're in the wrong place at the wrong time? Like, how can we look at it from a different perspective or look at it as, how can things change, right? Because to be honest, I feel like things like this are going to always occur because of certain things, and I'll get into it. And y'all, I have my notes here because while I was thinking about this, I was taking notes. And so yeah. So the first thing that kind of came to my mind was, most of us, and when I say us in this video, I'm talking about Black people, right? Um, Most of us come from humble beginnings, right? Most of us come from humble beginnings. Some of us are just trying to make it, right? Anytime you hear, or a lot of times, or many times that you hear stories of artists kind of coming out, making a lot of money, have hit records and things like that, when you hear their story, you always, or many times, you hear about humble beginnings, or the parents didn't have a lot, but they didn't really know that they didn't have a lot. The parents were able to kind of make do and kind of hide those things from them, right? um, or you hear a story about parents being separated, or maybe some people were raised by other members of the family and things like that, right? So when you come from those beginnings and you quote unquote like um get lucky, right? Or run into a blessing, right? You have this particular talent and you're able to, just by chance, somebody discovered you, or you were able to to really kind of hone your gift and perfect your craft and things like that, and you were able to kind of get into a different space than what you grew up in. You had the chance to kind of have a different experience, because you are now perfecting your gift, right? And so I started to think, okay, if you come from humble beginnings, right? And all of a sudden, you're this famous person. it has to be it has to be difficult to navigate. Why? And so I'm going to get into it, right? So we're going to talk about spaces, places, and faces. I'm not gonna be on here long, y'all. I ain't even gonna hold y'all because, like I said, I've been in the sun all day, honey. I'm tired. But I had to get this out. So I feel like, and this is only my opinion, right? When you and when you look at my thumbnail, there could be so many more men on this thumbnail. So many black men that were in the music industry, right? That were unalived could be on this thumbnail. These are just some of them, right? I mean, it's so many, underground rappers, rappers that, are known in their city, right? That something has happened to. I even heard that on the label, I guess that Takeoff was on or whatever, there have been a whole lot of artists on that label who have been unalived, right? And some of it by gun violence and things like that. So it's it's just very disturbing, right? So, but in my opinion, I feel like when you get to that point where you are now considered a celebrity, right? You're a celebrity, you're a well known rapper, you're a well known music artist, whatever it is, whatever you want to call yourself. You may not see yourself in that way because you might be thinking, well, I'm just the same old person from, humble beginnings, right? But other people aren't looking at you in that way. So I feel like once you hit that point, you've got to move differently, right? And the first way that you got to move differently is the spaces that you are in, because really now you are in a different space. You come from humble beginnings, but you're not in that space anymore once you have that level of influence, right? And this is could not only be for rappers, this could be for anyone with when we talk about social media nowadays, right? And the influence that social media has, this could be for anyone who has a substantial following, right? You have to know how to move in different spaces, right? It's almost like you are in, you know, uh, I don't even want to say upper echelon, but you are just in a different space now that you have this level of influence, right? And I wonder, and while I'm talking about this, y'all, I'm thinking out loud as well because it's just interesting to me, right? I wonder how someone of their stature, when we talk about rappers and things like that, right? Someone of their influence, their stature, how famous they are as far as their music. At what point do they realize that they have reached that level? Is it by how many followers they have? Is it by how many records they've sold? Is it when they realize they're able to buy their family, or take care of their family as far as, finances and things like that? At what point do they kind of understand that they're in a different space, even though they come from humble beginnings? Just a question. I really do wonder that, right? So you have to, I feel like, in my opinion, that you have to move in different spaces. So that means what? That means that once you get to that level, there are certain places, because now we're getting into how much how much very famous rappers or celebrities or anyone with certain kinds of influence really thinking about how much they have to sacrifice to maintain that level of celebrity or influence, or even just maintain the fact that they want to engage in their craft, right? Because for many of them, I would think that there's a purpose behind what they're doing, right? Either they love what they do, right? They're able to influence others. For example, if you look at Tupac, he was really kind of, giving his opinion about a lot of things that were going on in the world and trying to open people's eyes and things like that, right? So there's a purpose behind it, but what do you have to give up? What are the sacrifices made to still be able to do that, right? So now you can't move the same way you used to move in your space of humble beginnings, right? You got to go move in different places. Now that could mean, to me, in my opinion, that could mean that you can't hang out. You cannot be hanging out in the same places you used to hang out in the space of humble beginnings, right? Because you got to realize there are certain people that haven't gotten to the point that you've gotten yet and are trying to get there. And again, I mentioned in one of my previous lives that when people want something, there are a lot of uh, people that are jealous, that are envious, right? And things like that, not understanding, well, why this person got it and I ain't got it. And they will try to get it by any means necessary, right? So, so you cannot move in those places. You can't be in those places. There is no reason why, if you are a um very very famous person, celebrity, things like that, you shouldn't be hanging out at your local skating rink. You know what I'm saying? You can't just be driving around the old hood because you're famous. That's one of, in my opinion, one of the sacrifices. You can't, and by no means am I saying that whatever happened to, if people do that, if celebrities or whatever do that, that whatever happens to them is justified, right? It's just kind of looking at it differently. Like I think it's PNB Rock. Like, you can't go to your local Roscoe's. You know what I'm saying? You might have to you may have to have a caterer. You may have to have a private chef at this point because you have so much celebrity, and that's going to be one of the sacrifices. That's going to be one of the things that you got to give up, that you just can't roll around in your hood. Just like Nipsey, right? You try to do good, right? You try to give back to your community. You try to build in your community and things like that, which you can still do, but you just can't be in that space. You're going to have to hire somebody, managers and things like that, to oversee those types of things while you kind of behind the scenes. Because again, there are people lurking around that want what you got. They haven't made it to stardom yet, right? They trying to figure out, well, why he make it to stardom and I haven't. Well, how did he get there and I didn't? He's just a dude from the block or whatever, right? Right? Now, and I'm gonna get to some more of that in a second. So again, in my opinion, you got to be put yourself in different places, right? And now you might sacrifice driving around the hood still, going to your local Roscoe's, hanging out at the store that you built in your hood or whatever, right? Dapping it up with dudes you used to know and stuff like that. But you giving it up for what? You're giving it up to be able to have a chance to build wealth for your family, to learn different things, to learn actually the business of whatever you are in, to give that knowledge to your kids so they can give it to their kids and things like that, right? So it's like you gotta kind of foresee that. You gotta look ahead and say, dang, I know we used to hang out or whatever, we used to be around there, but I can't go around there no more. I'm in a different space. Like, do we ever see Jay-Z just hanging out? You know what I mean? Do we ever see pictures of him in his old hood, just driving around, or Like we don't see him doing that. I feel like he's at a point where he understands that, not that, I mean, it's still a part of him because that's where he come from, but he got to move different if he want to keep what he got and hell, keep living. Because these people don't care. They don't care. They ain't got nothing to lose. You see what I'm saying? So then let's talk about faces. Now, if you continue to hang around the same crowd, go around the same places of humble beginnings and things like that, or whatever, there's always going to be somebody in the crowd. And shoot, this could be if you're not hanging there too, but I feel like it's more likely if you are in those spaces of humble beginnings, right? Right? You got people in the crowd that are some evil people. You got people in the crowd that are some jealous people. They jealous of you. And this could be people that's right next to you. It's a lot of rappers who may, they had been friends with somebody for a long time. Maybe they hired their friend to be, their road manager, or to be their assistant, or, to be their stylist or whatever. But you gotta watch them people. You gotta watch them because again, all y'all come from humble beginnings, right? And when you come from humble beginnings, it's almost like every man got to fend for themselves, right? I'm gonna get you for you get me. You know what I'm saying? That's the type of mentality that it is. So it's like, okay, they gonna act like they are for you, but really they praying for your demise. You know what I'm saying? And this could be a deeper conversation too. But again, you got people in that are around you that are evil, they jealous, they're envious of you, right? And overall, I think that with this situation with takeoff, it sounds like to me that it may have been, because when you look at those videos and things like that, it looks like whoever may have been shooting may have been aiming for somebody else and he was in the way. But that also tells me this again, that you can't be in them same spaces and places. But then also, why? Because a lot of people don't have self control. It could have been a dice game. It could have been arguing for something that happened earlier in the day. Whatever it was, you mean to tell me that you don't have enough self control to just talk it out, to just argue with somebody, and then, I mean, you could argue for days. Y'all can go back and forth for days, but you didn't have enough self control to not shoot your gun? Like, that's a problem. But why is it that there is no self control, right? Is it jealousy? Is it envy? Is it, oh, you think you big and bad, but I'm going to show you who big and bad? Like, I just don't understand that, right? And because somebody didn't have self control, uh, some innocent person lost their life. And I honestly don't see how somebody could sleep well at night knowing that. Knowing that. And it's a lot of, a lot of opinions of people saying, oh, rap, they was just rapping about that. When you rap about those things, it's like manifesting. Man, forget all of that. Rap is rap. Music is music. I mean, you should be able to rap about whatever you want to rap about. That's not that's not a what I want to say. They don't justify someone uh being gunned down just because he was rapping about something. I mean, I don't understand that. The bottom line is that somebody didn't have self-control. You couldn't control whoever it was. You couldn't control your anger. You couldn't control your trigger finger because you didn't let out one shot. You let out several shots, it seems to me. And that's why, with anything, I'm like, okay, you know, this accidents happen and all this stuff, whatever. But in between the time that you steady doing something wrong, don't nothing click in your mind to say, oh damn, I done shot such and such. Let me go and put my gun down. Like but I guess people who are just dudes that's just shooting or whatever, they ain't thinking about that. But you didn't have self-control because in one of them videos you could see the guy just had his hand on the gun. I mean, what you waiting on something to pop off? And I get you got to have, people on alert, got to have security. But to me, that mentality is that you still in the space mentally that you still in humble beginnings. You have not understood that you are not in that space anymore. When you are in that space of you have more resources, you got more money to be able to do different things, you are able to have a different experience. You're able to show your kids that you ain't gotta continue to have that mindset that I had of I gotta get it any way I can when you grew up, right? Right? So you've got to think differently. And to me, it looked like there were so many people at that bowling alley, at that party or whatever it was. Like you just don't know who's in there. And it's sad to say, but when you get to those points, because shoot, Quavo, he didn't wrote songs and stuff for Beyonce, right? Dude, you you like upper echelon at this point. You can't be hanging around them same people. You just can't. Cause everybody ain't got that. To me, if you were able to do that, the type of drive that you got, to me, anybody, like even though these rappers they come from humble beginnings and things like that, the drive that they have, because a lot of them ain't no overnight success. You know how difficult it is to be consistent at one thing. It is so difficult to be consistent. It's easier said than done, y'all. And for these men to be consistent, right, with themselves and I'm sure that they heard no many times and things like that, right? But just to continue to just, no matter what nobody said, to continue to do what they wanted to do, what they love to do, right? You know how difficult that is? So for you to have that type of drive, that type of persistence, that type of consistency, right? What is it that doesn't allow you to see that now that you're at this point, the people that you grew up with or hang around, all of them are not for you? Because I feel like too, it's probably, and this is just me thinking out loud, right? Sometimes you could you could maybe feel like that in the beginning, like, okay, let me look at who around me and things like that. But at some point you get so comfortable, right, that you let your guard down. And like I said before, once you do that, boom, somebody in the camp ain't right. You know what I'm saying? And you kind of overlook it. And then too, I could see that maybe you don't want to be that person, like, okay, we didn't made it or whatever. It's kind of like an unwritten rule with Black people, like, okay, I made it, then it's your responsibility to help others. But shoot, at some point people got to help themselves, right? You were consistent enough, you were persistent, you did the hard work, you did what you had to do, you went and knocked on doors, you went and networked and talked to this person, stayed up late nights and things like that. And now some people want a handout. Nah, bro, you got to get it on your own, just like I did. And it's all good to go back and help, but you to me, you can't just give somebody something. They got to work for it too, right? But this situation with takeoff, I feel like is a story of someone not having enough self-control to just talk it out, you know, or just argue it out. Cause you hear, think it appears that maybe it was Quavo saying, "Man, I'm getting ready to go. Like I'm not gonna keep arguing. I'm getting ready to go because I, like hurt somebody or whatever." And I don't know if that was him saying that, but you heard somebody saying it. And as soon as he said that, it's like you hear shots. Okay, the man walking away, why are you shooting? Oh, because he got the last word, and you gonna get the last word or the last laugh or whatever. Like it just don't make sense. And then also, if you are around them and this is the industry, whoever it was too, y'all know the things that have happened previously, right? Of PNB Rock, just different rappers losing their lives to gun violence. Why would you even do that? That tells you people don't have any regard for other people's lives. It could be friends or not. Like, people don't think before they do. They just don't think. If you had sat and thought about what you was getting ready to do, and then it could have been more people hurt. It sounded like a lot of people were there. Like you could have hurt a lot of people, right? Now look at all the people you have affected by this. Like this is just senseless. It's really senseless, right? And so I feel like like I said, anybody that has a lot of influence based on, their status, the number of followers they have, because I mean, we're in a world of social media. So that's what we can go by. The amount of followers they have, the amount of influence that they have, right? I feel like once they get to a certain point, and again, I don't know what point it is. I guess at a point where they feel like, okay, I'm really a big deal out here. Like I didn't know or I didn't realize I was a big deal out here, but it's looking like to me, I can't even go to the grocery store by myself. Like if you get to a point where somebody got to go get groceries for you, or you get to a point where you got to go outside and disguise and you got to disguise yourself, like you okay, you made it basically. I mean, you got to that point. So I feel like once they're to that point, they need therapy on how to move differently and really kind of start to evaluate what's going on around them and how they're going to handle it, right? You know, how do you handle coming from humble beginnings now to having this type of status, and you still have people around you that are kind of, they're getting a taste of what you have, but they are still in humble, like they're not at a point where they can buy their mom a house or, go get whatever car they want. They're just kind of living vicariously through you. You know what I'm saying? So, how do you handle that? Right? How are you going to cope with maybe finding out someone you thought was for you isn't really for you, right? Or, how are you going to con- at this point, because at this point you're a leader, you know what I'm saying? Because you have a lot of people following you. You have a lot of people counting on you, a lot of people affected by the decisions that you make. So, how are you going to lead, right? Because you can't say yes to everything, right? You may have to check somebody every now and then. You might have to be, for example, your finances, you're going to have to be looking at your finances. You can't just say, oh, nah, that's my friend. I've been knowing him since second grade and he's an accountant. I know he won't do anything with my finances. I know he ain't going to do me wrong or whatever. You're going to have to look at your finances, right? And they might feel a type of way. So how are you gonna handle that? Right? So I feel like they may need therapy on how we're going to move differently. What does security look like for us, right? what does how many people are going to be traveling with us on a regular basis? When we go to parties and things like that, what would it look like? Are we going to continue to go to parties that are, back in the hood? If one of our best friends, they still live over there, their mom still live over there or whatever, are we going to go to those parties, or are we going to pay for them to have a party somewhere where we don't have to be in the hood? Or, because it's more likely that something gonna happen to you. You know what I'm saying? Because people jealous, people envious, right? Um, so what do those things look like? So I just want to come in, y'all, really quick and kind of give my opinion on that, and commentary on the new developments regarding takeoff. But again, I think that a lot of these stories are, the wrong place at the wrong time. And of course it could have been prevented, right? And some people may disagree with me. I welcome the disagreements, right? Disagree with me and say, "Oh, they should be able to go where they want to go." I think this the to me it's simple. When you get to that point, you can't be in the same spaces. You can't be in the same places that you were in before. There's no and some of the activities that you engage in, you can't be doing that. You can't engage in those type of activities, right? Because it's kind of like you one foot out and one foot in. At any point, your mindset is back at humble beginnings, but you got to understand you're not there anymore, and it's still a part of you, is where you come from and things like that. But your mindset cannot, um they can allow you to be in the same places. You're gonna have to try something new. And to be honest, I feel like if they're not ready for that, then what's the point? What's the point? You might as well stay in the hood. Why? And then too, I think like a lot of, especially when you come from humble beginnings, if you've never had a lot, when you get something, it's like you don't even really know what to do with it. It's like you kind of go crazy with it a little bit, right? If not you, the people around you, you know what I'm saying? Because you've never had it, right? So it's, again, that's why I feel like therapy is needed, because if you've never had that, then you don't know how to navigate that. So it's better to talk through it, to say, okay, I didn't know it was gonna be like this. I didn't know it was gonna look like this. I didn't know I was gonna have this many people following me. It feels like it's just overnight that this happened. Then you're going to have to talk yourself through that about some real situations that might occur, right? So let me know what y'all think on the replay. If you're watching the replay, let me know what you think. Also, let me know what you guys want me to get my commentary on or react to. I welcome any suggestions and things like that. But I just had to pop in and give my opinion regarding this. Again, rest in peace to everyone that's on this screen. Most recently, of course, Takeoff. I pray for peace and healing for the families. And thank you all for listening. I appreciate you. Make sure you like, comment, and most of all, subscribe. And I will see you on the next one. Bye.